I want to make my sister something special for her birthday. So when I saw this top at a clothes swap, I couldn't stop thinking about her. So I picked up these trousers and I came up with this design. Let's see if I can do it. So I went to a clothes swap recently and picked up some trousers that said they were in my size. Beautiful cord colour. I really like the texture. It would actually go really well with this shirt that I'm wearing today, but they don't fit. So I tried them on. They're far too long. Usually I don't have a problem with the length of trousers, even though I'm only 5'2". Usually trouser lengths are okay, but these must be a long because I just keep stepping on them. And I also can't do the zip all the way up on the side. So it's one of those invisible zips. So it does up when you're holding it like this, but when I put it on my body, it just sort of gets stuck around the waistband area about here, which isn't ideal. And means they're not very comfortable. So unfortunately, I won't wear these. So I've put them in my pile to repurpose. But at the same event, I found a t-shirt. And I tried it on and I thought, it's just not my style, it's not my fit, it's a little bit tight around the underarms when you're moving your arms, and I just don't think I'd wear it. I offered it to my sister just because she has a tattoo exactly of this picture. So hi Lauren, if you're watching. So this is, I thought this would be brilliant, but she said it would be too big for her. I think she likes tighter fitting crop tops. So I thought, brilliant idea. Why don't I take the design on this t-shirt and I make a bag out of this cord and put the design on the front. So that's the plan. But obviously a bag needs a lining. So I thought, what can I use as a lining fabric? And I have this old pillowcase that I just don't use. It's a nice neutral colour. And I thought this would do really well on the inside. So it's just a standard cotton. So I thought that could be used as the lining. And I already have a zip in my stash that's quite long. She works in a really busy city, so I want to make sure the bag zips up so when she's on public transport there's no fear of anything being stolen. So I thought this is quite a long length for a bag. So this is the design for the bag that I've come up with. So we're going to have the corduroy for the main bag. There's a zip here, and then that design on the front from the t-shirt. So this is what I'm envisioning with that kind of like hobo style bag. I'm thinking maybe the strap here will be too short because I want it to be adjustable. So I might end up changing that a little bit and adding some sort of adjustment to it. But this is the original idea. I'm going to keep the original seam of the trouser down the middle, hopefully. So that's the plan. So that's step one, find the materials. Step two is drafting a pattern. So I need to draft a pattern for this kind of bag, the size that I think she'll need, and I also want to make it adjustable so that if she does want to have it just over one shoulder instead, she can make it shorter and put it over her shoulder. This is going to be a gift for her birthday, so fingers crossed she likes it. So to draft the pattern for the bag, I'm going to be using some paper I got from a craft swap as my pattern paper. I don't go out and buy special pattern paper or anything, but I did notice when I unrolled it, it contains some drawings. So clearly they didn't want these child's drawings anymore, and I feel kind of bad for using them, but the paper's going to better use to make patterns for me, so yeah, how funny. So this is the pattern for the bag that I've drafted. I've made it 60 centimeters tall and about 24 centimeters wide, but this is only half. It will be cut on the fold. So I need to cut 2 in the main fabric and 2 in the lining of this, and then there'll also be some little bits for the handle and to attach the zip as well. So I'll cut those out as I get to them. I don't know how long I want to do the handle yet, so I'm going to make up the main bag first and then do the handle after, so I can put it against my body and see where it sits comfortably. So to prep the pillowcase, I will need to take apart the seams. I was hoping to use it just as a flat piece of fabric on the inside, because it's got French seams, that's just going to be too bulky for the bag, and I don't want this horrible ugly bulk in the middle. So I might have to just cut 4 pieces out of the pillowcase and make my own middle seam. You're not going to see it because it's on the inside, but I also want to do a little pocket as well. That won't take very long, it'll just be a little square, and so I need to put that. For the trousers, I will need to unpick one of the seams so that I can lay it out flat and cut the whole pattern piece out. So looking on the inside, I will need to undo some of the overlocking just to unpick that seam. So I need to go down one side, yeah, it's the same on both sides. So because the outside leg has a bit more material, but it also has pockets in the way, I'm going to have to start cutting out lower than the pockets. So I'm going to undo the inner leg, lie it out flat, and then cut the pattern pieces out. The t-shirt, I just need to cut the pattern off the front. It's already square, that should be really easy. Just cut that off, and I'm going to just attach it to the front of the bag with zigzag stitches all the way around the outside, just to stop it. It's knit fabric, so it won't fray anyway, but just to keep it neat and make sure it doesn't come off the bag. So that's next. So I've gone ahead and I've seam ripped everything for the pillowcases. It actually came apart into 2 pieces, so I just need to remove the excess thread and iron that. I need to iron the t-shirt, but I'm only focusing on the front because that's what I'm cutting out. And then the jeans, oh, as you can see, they've been split into 2. So here's one leg that I've ripped open on one side, so we have enough fabric there to cut the bag out, and the same on the other side. So I just need to iron those and remove the excess thread. I don't bin any of the threads, they all go into a little bag so I can use them as stuffing or something later on, just to save everything. So even these little bits here, that will get saved. Look at how much thread came out of just one pillowcase. I'm gonna scrape all these up. I'll also collect the bits off the floor, but this stuff will be saved, like I said, for stuffing. So when I make little decorations or animals, they all get stuffed with fabric scraps and bits of thread, because this is just perfect stuffing. So this is the waistband of the trousers. It came off when I cut it in half. It might not be long enough for the strap. I think it's actually, depending on how big the bag is, I might be able to use it for the strap, but I'll have to find out when I've made the whole bag. It'd be nice to be able to reuse this as is, but I'm not counting on it. Looking at the trousers from the inside, there's this pocket on one side, so I'll have to cut around that or see how I could incorporate the pockets somehow, if possible. Yeah, because they're quite nice. So I could use them in another project and save this particular material for something else. So I might end up doing that. on this side, there was actually a zip on one side. So I've taken the zip out. I'll see if I can reuse that somehow inside the bag. I'm thinking for the internal pocket, although it's meant to be an invisible zip, so it might not work very well for an internal pocket, but I will try it. But it just means that there is that slit in the top, which means I probably wouldn't use the very top for the bag anyway. This is the zip that came out of the side of the trouser. So you can see it's one of those invisible type zips, but it still works. It just didn't fit on me in the trousers, so see if I can do something with that. I've laid one trouser leg down as flat as I can. This has got to be cut on the fold, so the fold will be where the seam in the trouser is, so here. So you see this fits perfectly on one side, and then I'll flip it to the other. As for where I cut it on the trouser, I want to make sure, see, I don't want to go much higher here because I won't have enough room, and also we've got the pocket here and I don't want to be cutting into the pocket, but I also don't want to be wasting too much fabric. So I think it's better if I adjust it as far down as I can go on the trouser, so taking it down to where the hem is, and then that will mean I have all this up here which hasn't been touched. So if I wanted to make any bigger items out of here, I have enough left. And any smaller items like this edge, I will use for scraps. So just as stuffing for some projects, or if I'm making like a scrappy bag that I can have like a thin bit on, I'll use this. So we have one side of the bag. I have quite a lot of material left on this leg. This might end up becoming the strap, so we'll see. But any little straggly bits I will cut off because they'll just get in the way. And these were things that will go into the scrap bag. I was thinking about keeping the text, but I think the white background doesn't really go with the bag, so I am just going to keep the design. There you go. So that will go on the front of the bag. So this is the front. And then I will just put that on there. So I've cut out all my pieces that I need, and I'm just looking at the main part of the bag. This is quite a slinky kind of trouser material. You can see it's quite flexible, and I want it to sort of hold its shape a bit so that when you've got it on the side, you can see the design. I don't want it to be too wrinkled. So I've decided to add some interfacing to the outside. So this is just medium weight iron-on interfacing, so it's sticky on one side and not on the other. I've had this in my stash for a while, so I thought I'd better use it anyway. So I'm just gonna iron it on now, and then I'll cut the whole interfacing out after I've ironed it on, and then I'll have all my pieces ready. So now you can see it has a bit more structure to it, and it's a bit thicker. So there's a lot less drooping going on, but it's not too thick that it doesn't look right, if that makes sense. Okay, so we've got two of the outside pieces of the bag which have been interfaced. So they're nice and thick and ready to go. We've got two of the lining pieces out of the pillowcase, so they're both ready to go. Got the long zip for the outside, the short zip which I salvaged from the trousers for the inside. We've got the little bits that need to go on the end of the zip, and then I've decided to do 2 pockets on the inside, both taken from the pillowcase. So this is going to be just folded over, just so you put your hand in, it's not zipped or anything, just a small pocket on the inside. And then this bigger piece is going to be the inside zipped pocket. So I'll have one pocket on one side which is zipped, not zipped on the other. So plenty of storage space, hopefully. So my next step is to now start sewing things together. I'm going to start with putting the pockets on the lining, just so the lining is ready to go. And then we can start assembling the main bag before I then decide how long the strap needs to be. So I've marked where I want the pocket to go with the zip. So I'm just going to sew all the way around here, then cut a hole in the middle, turn it inside out, and I'm going to do sort of like a welt pocket style. And so the zip, because it's an invisible zip, I don't want a lot of it showing through. So that's the plan. Okay, so just an update on where I've gotten to. Apologies, it's quite late in the evening now, so the lighting's getting a bit dark. This is one of the inside pockets. So this is the one with the original zip from the trousers. So it's all zipped up, and I'm using like a double welted pocket for this. So you can see here, really quite proud of that one. That one's worked quite well. And then we've got another lining here. And this has just an open pocket just for extra storage. Thought that might be nice. And then we've got one back piece from earlier still. So this is the back. And then we've got the front. So this has the design on the front, and I really like this. So you can see I've zigzagged around the outside, and actually I think that's worked quite well. So that'll be the front. And then I've got the zip ready to go around the top. So next step is to attach the zip to the front and add the front lining piece, then the back, and I'll go from there. I got quite a lot done last night with the bag, so I'm really proud of my progress. Just to show you here, I've got it all clipped up ready to be sewn together with the back and the front. So everything's together. Once I've sewn these sides, it will look more like an actual bag, which will be amazing. The only thing which you might have noticed is that I've removed the interfacing. So as I was sewing, I got a little bit fed up with the noise of it sounding like a paper bag. So I don't know if that's just the interfacing that I used. It was in my stash for a while, so maybe it was just a bit old, it wasn't sticking properly. And I thought, well, if I'm getting annoyed by the way this bag sounds, I'm sure my sister won't like it. So I've removed the interfacing. It means it's a little bit more flexible and doesn't hold its shape as well. But I think that's fine. It's going to be draped over her shoulder and it's going to have items in it anyway. So I think it's fine. I think it's better to not have the annoying sound, to be honest. So yeah, I've put the design on the front as you saw. I just need to stitch everything together. I've left a little hole in the bottom so that I can turn it inside out, and then I can think about how to add the strap. I want it to be adjustable, so I'll have to see what kind of hardware I've already got, and if I don't have any, try and think of another solution that I can do, maybe with tying or something like that. So yeah. Okay, so quick update on the bag. I finished the body and I think it looked really good. I'm really pleased with this. I think my sister's gonna love it, hopefully, but it looks just like the designs, so excellent. So I've got the design on the front from the t-shirt, as you can see. So once I've got the handle in, it will look a bit more like this. And you can see if I dragged it over my body. On the inside, you can see the zip here, which is working really nicely. And on the inside, you've got that zipped up pocket on the back and the open pocket on the front. I haven't sewn up the hole in the bottom of the lining yet because I want to put a label on the inside, but they haven't arrived yet. So I've left the hole in there, so right in the bottom, so that I can hand sew on the label when they arrive. So now I'm going to test out the handle because this is quite a nice sized bag. So remember the waistband that I had from the original trousers? I think that will work. So I'm just going to pin it up and see what that looks like. So this is the bag pinned up with the original waistband of the trousers, and I think that works, you know. So I'm just going to put it over my body and zip it up and just see. Yeah, I think that's perfect. So I'm just going to sew the waistband in here, and what I've done on the back, just to make it adjustable, is I'm going to sew in a loop on the back, so you can see that there. I'm going to sew a loop in here and then tie the waistband through it. So if I undo what I've already tied, I could make it this short, and then you would tie it around like this, and then you've got a shoulder bag instead. So that works much nicer. So she wants it over her shoulder or she wants it over her body. I've made it so that it's adjustable. I've obviously close off the end of the waistband here so there's no raw edge. And yeah, I think I'm really proud of that. So yeah, so that's the only bits left to do. Obviously sew this in properly instead of pinning, and then sew that hole up in the bottom once I've put the label in, and then that'll be ready for her birthday. Ta-da! I finished the bag, so I'm loving how this has turned out. At the moment I've got it just over my shoulder, but I could have it over my body as well. And I think it's a really good size. You can get in this way, put all your items in here, and the zip on the inside, which is going to be really useful for extra protection of items. And then the pocket on the inside hopefully helps with organisation. But yeah, honestly, really proud of this. It's better than I expected. And yeah, hopefully my sister's going to love it as well. And yeah, and the straps worked really well. The fact that I've used the waistband from the cord, I'm really happy that I've been able to do that and salvage that bit. It meant I didn't have to cut out an extra strip. And I've just done the knotted bit on the end there with the little loop. And I think that works really well. I've kept the loop at the back of the bag because the zip is up here at the front when it's closed. Obviously you could wear it on the other arm, but you'd see the knot, or you could hide it behind the side of the bag. But yeah, I think this has turned out really well, and has been a great example of how you can reuse your old clothes and clothes that don't fit to make something really useful. So that'll be going to my sister for her birthday in November, and yeah, really happy with that. I do lots of other transformations of upcycling other clothing. It's a big part of my business, so if you really did enjoy this video, please follow along and hype it and subscribe for more so you'll see the next one. And if you have any ideas of what I should do next, please let me know in the comments and I'll have a look. But yeah, thank you.